Hi, it's Ronnie here. I'm making a video about where I am, where my thoughts with the Doug Graham being excluded from Woodstock, and it seems like he's been excluded by a vote of the board based on some documents and some information, partly to do with the Leah Branster's testimonial from fasting, and a number of other documents and communications that he'd had with the other pioneers, and questions that they'd asked him about various parts of his behaviour and a lot of other stuff. Some things I wasn't sure why it was in there or not. It was like kind of a case was being made against him. It felt like a little bit of a witch hunt, and just a chance to try and throw all these weird questions at him. But obviously I guess I'm on his side in this, but I still support the Woodstock event. I think it's an excellent event regardless of what speakers or presenters are there. But and I understand some of the reasons why they've made this decision, but I don't particularly think I don't particularly think it was the right thing to do, or that this is the right direction to go in. But I think maybe the event wants to go towards maybe not really having any presenters or educational element at one point. Maybe they just don't. Maybe there's just no value really in bringing speakers and presenters. I don't know. And in a sense, the Woodstock board is maybe I don't know. I guess a lot of them would turn up and present for free anyway, even if they weren't getting paid. They might even pay their own travel expenses, I don't know, because they enjoy the event. Who knows, they might even have to pay to go at some point. But that's just a random thought. But Leah Branster's testimonial is fine, is interesting, is very damning, and she's obviously quite hurt and angry and frustrated about what's happened. But it is just one side of the story, and so many people have just rushed to conclusions. People that I would have expected would have had a little bit more patience, experience, intelligence to sit back, maybe ask a few more questions, maybe speak to people who were there, you know, not just Grant and Doug, but speak to many other people. And a lot of these people involved have met Grant and Doug, known him for years, worked with him, and they've sided with a testimonial video of someone they've never met, or they've maybe met but they don't really know, and they don't know the full situation of what happened. They've not spoke to the interns that were looking after her at the event and the other fasters and what they had to say. And as far as my own little questioning, you know, as soon as I saw that video I thought, right, I want to see the other side to the story, because I don't really, from meeting Grant and Doug and various people, I don't really think that their conduct matches what I see in this video, or it doesn't. I wouldn't expect them to act that way. Unfortunately, a lot of people have taken that video as an excuse to try and kick Doug. Maybe they don't like Doug, maybe they don't like aspects of his work, so they've decided that this video is 100% accurate and honest testimonial, and decided not to even consider that there's another side to this. And a lot of people don't like fasting, are scared of fasting, don't understand it, don't seem to get that there's so many thousands of testimonials of people that healed real major illnesses and real major diseases, lifetime things that they had, were able to heal on fasting, and possibly would never have healed it without going through a period of fasting. But there is research about fasting and the benefits of fasting, I believe. I've not looked into it hugely, but I do believe in fasting, and I do believe in fasting even if you are a completely healthy person. To go through a fast at one point in your life, I think it's probably a good thing to do, and even if it's just a couple of days on your own or whatever. Clearly fasting is not a lifestyle. I don't think you should be doing it every week or anything, but I don't want to get too much into fasting. I'm already starting to speak about that. But as I'm saying, as far as the people that I've spoke to who were there, who were looking after Leah, various people have given me a very different side to the story, have pointed out a number of inaccuracies in her testimonial, whether she was being dishonest or whether, you know, none of us have a perfect memory, and we often look through things with, you know, we often taint our memories depending on the outcome of the experience, but a number of things were inaccurate in her testimonial. I think a lot of that, it would come out if, I think for legal reasons, a response hasn't been made by Doug or various people themselves, and a lot of people have interpreted the lack of response as meaning there is no response and that they're completely sort of guilty or whatever. But it's not enough just to discredit someone based on one piece of information, and as I'm saying, the diagnosis of a particular set of doctors in a Costa Rican hospital that have interpreted her blood work in a certain way. And one thing that I've heard about fasting, and obviously I'm no expert here, but some people say that they should be blood testing, doing blood work, but what at least I've heard Lauren Lockman say about True North Health Clinic and places where they do blood testing is that if your blood goes slightly outside of normal range, that they will stop your fast and possibly start medicating you and all this stuff, because it's medical doctors, that's what they're trained to do, that's what they have to do. But what Lauren says is that in fasting a lot of people's blood goes outside of normal ranges of what people interpret as being safe, and that it's necessary. That's part of the healing process. That's what has to happen for the body to fully heal itself, and that's what was interpreted in Leah's blood work at this hospital, that everything was outside of normal ranges, and that's really what happens when you're fasting. Plus, when you're fasting, when you've been fasting for that long, you look very thin and emaciated, so obviously you're going to look sick. People, like her mum said, she looked like a cancer patient. Well, that's just because she wasn't eating, and a cancer patient doesn't eat or isn't able to get as much food in and stuff. So I understand it's a very emotional testimony. There's a lot of bad things said, and a lot of people wanted to have their bad prejudices about Doug confirmed, and this has been an opportunity for them to do that. And so I think it's a bit of a shame that they didn't look further into this information, but then further into the questions in that document. Some of the questions, some of the information, there was stuff there I wasn't really sure what was relevant, with sort of Facebook conversation with David Klein and stuff like that, and various things. There was testimony, I think it was someone that used to work with Doug had sent in a testimonial, and not sure exactly, but then there was questions, and there was one of the questions said, why do you charge so much money when you know that most people can't afford it? And why do you charge so much money? There's a lot of centering around money, and I think this is some kind of weird ethics that some people have, that if you're doing something where you're trying to help people with your health, then you should do it at a price that anyone can afford. I don't know. I don't know if ethically that makes any sense. The thing with money is such a complex issue, and if we take away all the money and we look at the effectiveness of what Doug's done in the education, regardless of the actual people that have been on his retreats. For me, the people that have been around Doug and been on his retreats have been some of the most effective, well-educated, well-spoken members of this lifestyle. You're talking about, obviously, people like Harley and Freely got all their information from Doug, all their stuff from Doug, got a lot of the way that they communicate from Doug and from his courses, got a lot of their information about everything. Then you've got Christina Krillo Bukaram, obviously. She went through Doug's stuff and learned a lot from him. And you've got Chris Kendall, who's learned an awful lot from Doug. Obviously Grant, I think Dr. Sam, who's a pioneer at Woodstock, even guys like Don Bennett himself and some of the other pioneers, they've learned a lot from Doug as well, and Mike Arnstein, and so a lot of the most effective people in this lifestyle that have really spread the message to many, many people have been to Doug's events. So the fact that he's charged a lot of money for his events, that hasn't held back the message from being spread to a lot of people. So people say, oh, spread the message, but people have went to his events, they've invested in it, they've taken it seriously, they've taken in the information, they've went out and spread the information. And I don't think it would have mattered if he'd charged less. You know, would he have got more people? I don't know. And the fact that he's able to make some money or some kind of income means that he can put his book out there, he can put his books, you know, really good books, spend time on them, work on them, get other people to work on them, like editors and stuff, and create more courses, do better quality events. So I don't know if he charged less money, how that would have been better for anyone apart from, you know, and there's a thing about money as well, like when people don't pay a lot for something, they don't value it. So there's all sorts of competing philosophies and ethics to do with money, but it's not enough to just say, well, lots of people can't afford what you're doing, so that's somehow bad, or you're going against the ethics of a healthcare practitioner by charging money, you know. Anyway, and Doug has been giving away free information for years, answering a lot of questions on the Veg Source forum for years for free, giving a lot of people information for free, so he's spent a lot of time doing that also. Right, and that was another thing, the Veg Source thing. I don't know the full story with the Veg Source forum. I think he said that the Veg Source were deleting posts, but they weren't, and it was actually him that was deleting posts and they weren't happy about it, so I don't know. I guess he was just moderating the forum and trying to take off, because a lot of people attacked him or started to attack him on that forum. It really wasn't the right place to do it, but I guess they were wanting him to answer all sorts of questions. So I don't know what his actions were there, or if that was right or not, but that's just to do with them. And then there was questions like about his finger, like why haven't you got your finger fixed, which I think is an absolutely ridiculous question. I have no idea why that's relevant at all. I think that's kind of embarrassing that that's even in there. And then there's a whole host of questions that are like, why don't you supplement? Why don't you tell people to supplement with B12? Why don't you tell people to supplement with vitamin D and iodine and all this stuff? And when I've been at Woodstock, there's only one person that's told everyone they should be supplementing with all that stuff, and that's Don Merritt. And I know that Rick Dina, maybe a few others talk about B12, but many don't talk about B12 at all, or any kind of supplementation, or supplementation as part of the lifestyle. So the idea that Doug should be telling people one opinion rather than his own opinion, I don't understand why that's relevant. And there's no code in the Woodstock Pioneers that says we must not tell people to supplement with B12, we must not tell people to take vitamin D and iodine and test for these things. There's no information on that at all. And even at Woodstock, Dr. Rick Dina was saying that he felt some of the information on iodine supplementation that was being spread by other people, he felt that the levels of iodine suggested were very high, and that really if you're going to supplement with iodine you should have a sort of thyroid specialist to look at your thyroid work or something. I don't know, but it just shows that that was always part of Woodstock. Different people had different opinions. I don't really think people were running into major problems with vitamin D, iodine, B12, maybe B12 issues. But Doug doesn't recommend against supplementation. I think he just doesn't see it as a standard necessary part of the lifestyle in every situation. If someone is deficient, he recommends that you actually just, if you think you're deficient in something, you try out taking the supplement, see if it makes you feel better. If it doesn't take away the symptoms, then you probably weren't deficient. So he doesn't recommend against it, and he even says that I remember him saying this here, he thinks people are, stupid if they try and if they put their own health philosophy higher than their actual health, and anyway. So there was stuff about I don't know if it mentions Ryan, but Ryan's laptop and his money being taken, and there was just a lot of stuff there that's all kind of, I don't know, rumours and one side of the story, and I guess they were wanting questions answered, they were wanting answers, and Doug sent an email and there was like a reply to the email, and it's just came off a little bit to me a bit of a witch hunt, a bit of a few people wanted him out. And then when you see, some people obviously been insulted by some of his behaviour, of some of his jokes and things like that, about saying this is my welcome to my party, I don't know, it just seems like a kind of silly joke or whatever, but some people are obviously quite insulted by that. So yeah, it feels like a bit of a witch hunt. It feels like they've not put any faith in him being a person they've known, most of them have known for a long time. And I don't know if there's more to it, maybe there's more to it, but some of the stuff there, I would hope that in the future that they don't consider the condition of someone's finger as being a reason, part of the reason for throwing them off the Pioneer, for excluding them from, not even like people get taken down from being a Pioneer and they get invited as a special guest, but he's just been excluded from the events. So hopefully people's minor disabilities don't get taken into account, people's philosophy of what they charge for money to try and make a living, hopefully that doesn't get taken into account next time. And Wendy. Yeah. So, well, I don't know if you can hear me now, but so that's my thoughts on this. And just for a lesson for the future, please wait and try and hear more than one side of the story whenever something else is happening. And I still recommend Doug as a great educator, and his information is fantastic. His book 8-10-10 and his other books are great books and great resources on this lifestyle. So that's all I wanted to say. So thanks for listening. Bye.